Ironheart is absolute garbage. It is the worst show that Marvel Studios under the Disney Plus banner has ever released. It is so unbelievably bad. It's so bad that the streaming service tried to hide it for the longest time, and it was on the shelves for 5 years. Tell me you have no confidence in your show without telling me you have no confidence in your show. Ironheart is the answer to that question. Now, I can already see some pushback from people going, "Hey, bang, it's not that bad. It's a pretty good show. I love Ironheart. She's amazing. Stop being a racist fatty. Go eat a donut and stop being racist." Here's the thing, though. I'm not racist. The show is. Hey, bang, how can a show by Disney, one of the most progressive companies in the world, be racist? Well, hear me out on this, because there is a lot of stereotypes in this show. And I hate saying that, because I hate the term racial stereotype. Usually when somebody says that's a racial stereotype, it's usually overblown and exaggerated, like Skids and Mudflap from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, or Jar Jar. People have ruined the word racial stereotype, and it gets very annoying when you hear it over and over and over again. But then something like this comes out, which is actually kind of racist, and people just say, "Oh, this is completely fine." Drives me absolutely insane. Like, it is unbelievably ridiculous. And it doesn't help that the lead of the show, Ironheart, is a terrible character. Like, she is the worst female lead character in existence. I know, that's saying a lot with characters like Rey, Reva, She-Hulk, Captain Marvel, America Chavez. It's such a long list of bad female characters, but she manages to overtake all their places because she is the worst one out of them all. Babe, that is complete nonsense. You just don't like women and black superheroes. Well, let's see. Let's debunk that point immediately for the black superheroes thing, because it's more relevant to Ironheart than the female one. Let's see. Blade, anybody? I liked what I saw of Luke Cage from Defenders. Let's talk about Nick Fury. I know he's not technically a superhero, but he's pretty cool. Falcon before he became Captain Falcon. And then also War Machine. Yeah, these are all great characters. And the original Black Panther. Like, these are all good characters that I like from the MCU that are black. So it's not a whole racist thing. She's just not a really good character. She sucks. And her show is absolute garbage. And to prove my point, I risked being happy because I watched Black Panther 2, the first thing she appeared in the MCU. And yeah, that movie also sucked. And also, she was not a good character in that movie either. The character of Ironheart is just complete garbage. Ever since her first comic book issue had came out in history, she has never been good. And the MCU didn't justify her being a character. Like, for example, it is possible to make a garbage character better in filming adaptation. For many people at the time before he became popular, that was Miles Morales' case. Not a lot of people liked Miles Morales as a character, but then the first Spider-Verse movie came and people actually began to like him. And his numbers of people hating his character shrunk to an extreme low. But does Ironheart get that treatment? Nope, she's just as garbage as she was in the comics. She is just a unbelievably annoying character. Like, literally, her origin story and the reason she wanted to become a superhero in the comics was because she wanted her teacher to basically put her down and say she can't be Iron Man because, as a quote from the actual comic itself, she says, "I was kind of hoping you'd tell me the opposite so I would have something to inspire me to prove you wrong." Like, who says that? Like, I get that there's stories where there's these higher-ups that's gonna tear them down, and then the whole journey is them proving them wrong. But this is just out of left field. Like, what the heck? Like, nobody in those stories is like, I need a motivation, so I need you to tear me down and stuff. That doesn't make any sense. And also, you can be motivated with positive feedback too. So what is this? I mean, I'll give the show credit. They don't do this. Thank goodness, because this is stupid. But that doesn't justify the show being good either. The show is still garbage regardless. She is still a obnoxious character I'm going to give you a plot summary of this show. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do a huge breakdown. The first audio recording I had was like 20 minutes, like including the introduction and the first episode, and I was like almost in the second episode, and I realized, despite the show only having 6 episodes, I realized that would have been way too long of a video. But don't worry for those who like my in-depth reviews. There will be episode breakdowns coming out, so we'll go more into depth, which I'm okay with. I've kind of missed episode breakdowns. But this is going to be a small summary, which is going to have some spoilers. So why don't we begin with the summary? Basically, the show is about Riri Williams and how she is grieving over her friend that she lost in a shooting, including her father as well. So she had the motivation to build a Iron Man-like suit. Now, people are also going to pull up that Ironheart is not Iron Man or trying to rip off Iron Man. She's trying to do her own thing. Even though this quote from Black Panther 2 exists, oh yeah, that's a complete lie. To obviously combat the claim that Ironheart is an Iron Man ripoff is only there for diverse reasons, their answer to that problem is lying, saying she's doing her own thing and she is not being an Iron Man ripoff. If you even look at her modern suit in the MIT one, the slightly improved MIT one, very Iron Man inspired. Now, I will say this about Ironheart's first suit. I will give credit, they tried to make her not look like Iron Man as much as possible, even though the suit in Black Panther 2 is absolute garbage. And what is this design? It looks awful. But I can see that they tried to do something sort of different from the comics, which didn't hold up further. If it was the same suit from Black Panther 2, then yeah, maybe I wouldn't pull up the suit criticism. But if you look at the suit itself, her faceplate is very, very similar to Iron Man. Now, of course, there's going to be your dummies and MCU shills that are going to defend us and saying, it is totally its own thing, DB! Stop being that way! Stop criticizing the obvious! It's our own thing! Deal with it, you fatty! Well, that's the thing, though. If I didn't criticize stuff, I wouldn't be credible. So, yeah, I'm gonna keep criticizing this awful, awful show. But anyway, going back to the plot synopsis, there's also conveniently this gang in the show where it's led by the villain of the show, the Hood. Now, yes, I know that sounds wrong, but continuing on. The Hood is a herald of Mephisto. You know, the guy people speculated was going to be in WandaVision and the main bad of the show, which didn't end up happening and just left some people confused of why they didn't just use Mephisto, which is fair, because just the idea of Wanda torturing a village is complete character assassination, especially later on when she ends up becoming the villain in Multiverse of Madness. But Mephisto apparently did show up in the series Agatha all along, which I didn't even bother with because I wasn't a huge fan of Agatha that much to watch an entire show about her. And it looks like I made the right call because I have heard the Agatha All Along show is absolute garbage and shoves stupid narratives in it, and it's preachy. Now, continuing on with Ironheart, the members of the gang is a woman, 3 men, which one of them ends up dying in the show anyway, two trannies. Granted, one of them might be a drag queen as well. It's hard to tell if it's a tranny or a drag queen because this character looks like he could be both. Oh my gosh, I said he! Oh my gosh, I'm so offensive! I don't care. Continuing on, the gang is trying to break into this house in the first episode that they're introduced, but of course the plan completely backfires, and the Hood tells his second in command that they need somebody technical to help, which they spot Ironheart in the air with her suit, and the Hood's like, she'll do. Like a day after Riri passes by the gang in the air, the second in command of the gang comes by her and gives her a business card, and she goes to the gang, and of course the Hood and her have a conversation, and Riri would never join you. And then the Hood gives her money, like lots of money, to join the gang. After she made the comment, there isn't enough money to make me join you. And apparently there is, because she immediately joins. She maintains her normal life as she works on her suit and helps the gang with crime. But before she commits her first crime with the gang, she manages to create an AI by accident that resembles her dead friend. And immediately she is like, you're a mistake, you need to go. It's this whole thing, and like, I get it's not the real person, and you could consider it creepy, but at the same time, your friend is back in a way. A friend you lost. Which Riri, for a big portion of the show, tries to hide this AI that resembles her friend because of their reaction. But unfortunately, this does not go well. First being Riri's mom to find out about the AI, and she's happy about it because it's like a perfect replication of Riri's friend. And when Riri comes back after she finds out, she's like, could you revive your father? And she's like, no. And the show continues on with her committing crimes with the other criminals in the gang. And it's this whole thing that also drives nuts here is, like, they're saying they're committing crimes and they're criminals, but Riri's like, I'm not a criminal. And I'm like, yes, you are. You are literally stealing from people to make your suit possible. Now, I have to say this, and it's going to be hard saying this, but I owe your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man an apology. Because in that show, I criticized the gang aspect of the show. Granted, I still stick to the opinion that they focused on that gang way too much for a Spider-Man show. Like, you can have episodes with directly focusing on the gang in the Spider-Man show, but when you're mostly taking the focus away from the main character, who is literally on the title, then the show has a problem. But I will say this, they handled the gang thing way better in that show than this one. And here's why. So, Riri, a lot in the show, as she's helping these criminals, says that she is not a criminal, even though she commits a lot of criminal activities. And it's just very narcissistic, saying, I'm not a criminal, I'm a good guy. Yeah, there's already a problem with that, because regardless of what you do, like, you're still a criminal in some way or form. Like, she is stealing things from people, and she says she is the good guy. And it's just wrong. Like, I don't know why she's the hero of the show. She more acts like a villain. This is a thing in a lot of Hollywood stuff, is they make the woman characters seem like these noble and courageous people, but they're actually just villains at the end of the day. I will say, going back to my previous point, the problem between Ironheart and how the gang was done in your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man did it right. Because in the show Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Lenny was a part of the gang, but he only joined because he didn't want his brother to ruin his life. He wanted his brother to do something with his life. And the only reason he tolerated keeping the gang safe was to keep his brother and his family safe, even though his little brother hated that, because he wanted to be something different from his brother. But Lenny, being the selfless person that he was, sacrificed his career in football and his education to keep his family safe and commit these atrocities for his family. Now, somebody's probably like, but D2B, isn't that quite similar? Yeah, not really. One has a good way of viewing things, and the other is just doing it for themselves and claiming she's doing the right thing, even though she really isn't. And it's just so narcissistic. Like, sure, you can have sympathetic criminals. Absolutely. You can understand where a criminal is coming from in certain situations. Like I brought up Lenny. Another one is Walter White, where Walter White only became the drug lord he became at first to help his family once he dies. That was the only reason he did what he did. Of course, as the show goes on, he does become self-indulged into himself a tiny bit. He does say some things involve him a lot, but he still did it for his family. So you could have these sympathetic people do terrible things at the end of the day, but understand that what they're doing is still wrong. But Ironheart, nope. She can't do wrong. She's a woman. And she's a diverse one, too. Like, we can't have people that are absolutely evil that are both those things nowadays. Yeah, especially, that's what they act. They're not even heroes or heroine as they're called. They're just straight up villains, and it's ridiculous that they perceive them as always right, treat wrong actions as good actions. Like, it's complete nonsense. Riri also meets this guy who might be the child or related to the late supervillain Ironmonger. And this guy is a complete loser, unlike his father. This is how the show writes him. So he's basically a white man punching bag, not only for Riri Williams, but also the world around him. Like, he's just trying to live a normal life, even though he knows crucial details, but then meets up with Riri, and no joke, she literally criticizes him every 20 seconds. She even makes the comment that no one should tear you down unless it's me, which I immediately just rolled my eyes at when I heard that absolute nonsense. And we're supposed to be cheering for her? Yeah, no. All these bad things, including Riri torturing him or mentally breaking him down by insulting him over and over and over again, eventually turns him into the bad guy, which his first act of villainy is cutting his neighbor's flowers that she's been working on for who knows how long, and also joining the Hood at the end of the series with special bionic modifications, which ends up becoming a problem for Riri later. Also, Riri eventually does leave the gang at some point and decides to fight him off at last second, even though there isn't enough build-up or episodes to build up her changing from a criminal and realizing what she did was wrong to the hero that we all need. It's only 6 episodes. It's not enough for a proper character arc to switch from a bad guy to a good guy. Now, people could say, but they do that all the time in movies. Well, here's the thing, though. It depends, because there are some good movies where the character eventually switches sides, but that's more in, like, the third act of the movie, which movies are around, like, an hour or 2 hours, or maybe even worse, 3 hours. There is a subtle character arc, or at least that should be what it is, where a TV show should have more content to develop the character, because unlike a movie, TV shows have more expansion. They don't have to limit themselves completely because they can expand their long story through multiple episodes. And this show fails at it because it is awful. And also, there's this car that I forgot to mention that her dead dad was working on, and they basically stripped that down after the mom buys it back from whoever bought it, and they make that into the new Ironheart suit. She goes up against the bad guys, including the Hood. She also takes the Hood from the Hood and also meets Mephisto. Now, this part absolutely pissed me off. So, for more context, in the show, in the last or one of the last episodes of the show, they experimented with the concept of technology and magic. So she can combat the Hood, which the Hood has these like magical powers connected to his cloak that was gifted by Mephisto. And in the process of this experiment, Riri's AI friend disappears and she's gone because of the experimentation with magic. And this whole thing builds up to this whole finale because she is upset her friend's gone and she wants to take down the Hood. So she steals the Hood from the Hood to make sure that he has no powers. Now you could probably be going like as a casual viewer, but that's not bad. She's preventing the villain from having the powers. Now I would agree normally if this scene didn't happen. So one of the last scenes in the finale of the show, Riri gets pulled in and meets up with the man himself who recruited the Hood to begin with, Mephisto. And Mephisto says that she should join him and he could give her wonderful things. And he asks what he wants, but he reads her mind at the same time and realizes what she wants. And then we find out that she sold her soul to this character that very much resembles the devil. And in the cost of that, she gets her friend back and it's happy rainbows and sunshine. Yay! No! It was a terrible ending. Like, I have never seen an ending so unbelievably evil in my life. I have never seen that. We're supposed to sympathize and care and cheer for the victory of a character who sold her soul to get a friend back, defeating the whole purpose of death and just bringing people back. And it sends a bad message too. Like, if you do this and sign your soul to a really bad person, you can get everything you want. Yay! This might be the worst finale of the MCU. The worst finale of any bad movie. Like, oh my gosh, I hated this ending. Like, she basically sold her soul. For what? A friend? Even though the purpose was to get rid of the Hood, but she ended up joining Mephisto. And you could say, well, what about characters like Ghost Rider, who are literally heralds of the devil? Now, Ghost Rider's a bit different because the Ghost Rider's purpose is to basically kill the wicked and send them to hell. That's his whole purpose. Also, can we get this? If we get an Ironheart Season 2, can we have Ironheart versus Ghost Rider? Ghost Rider just destroys Riri Williams and sends her to her place that she belongs. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Please let that happen if there's a season 2. Have Ghost Rider there, but don't have Riri win over Ghost Rider. Have her get taken to where she belongs. Now, I might be taking this a little personally because I personally believe in the good word of the Lord. And the Lord says not to sell your soul to the wicked or do not bow to anyone besides him. So I'm kind of taking this personally. Now, I'm trying not to be too preachy here. I'm not one of those Christians where it's like, if you don't follow God, God doesn't love you. No, I'm not one of those people because I hate people like that are religious. I hate those people. Like, thinking that they're better because they worship God, and if you don't do everything that God says, God doesn't love you. I hate those people a lot. Like, God loves his creations even if they commit terrible things. That's my belief. Even if they forsake him, he still loves them. I might be taking this ending a little too seriously. It just... Seeing an ending like that just makes me mad. And you could make the same argument for Ghost Rider, but depending on which version, because I've only seen 2 versions of Ghost Rider, the first original Sony film, and then also the MCU Ghost Rider from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So in the Sony film, the reason Ghost Rider became Ghost Rider was because his dad had, like, cancer. if I'm remembering right, or some sort of disease. So he sold his soul to the devil, not thinking things through because he was young, and he ended up just accomplishing nothing. Like, there was a consequence in that film for him signing his soul to the devil. There was a consequence for it because his dad died. Even though he was feeling better, his disease was gone, he still lost his father regardless, and he clearly regretted selling his soul to the devil. In Ghost Rider in the MCU timeline, or known as Earth 19999, that's the number, not 616, that's fake news. Anyway, in the MCU timeline, Ghost Rider, or his identity before he became Ghost Rider, him and his brother were attacked by a gang, and he prayed to somebody that his brother survived and he didn't. Then a strange voice, which is the devil, asked him if he wants a second chance at life to get vengeance or justice for the people that hurt his brother, which he accepted and became Ghost Rider. So Ghost Rider has had good intentions despite being a herald of the devil. Where Riri is just like, I want my friend back, sign me up, buddy, let's do this. Like, it just does not rub me the right way. It's just so evil. And people could say that maybe Riri realizes what she did was wrong and then unsigns herself from Mephisto. I very much doubt that. I very much doubt that that's going to happen. I think, especially knowing the Multiverse Saga is on Phase 6 now, and it's going to be wrapping up soon, unless those rumors about a Phase 7 are true. Like, it is unrealistic, guys. We have one more phase left in this garbage saga. Fantastic Four is the start of Phase 6, or Ironheart is. It's confusing. I thought Thunderbolts was the last chapter of Phase 5, but who knows anymore? So there wouldn't be enough time to make that arc anyway. I think it's going to be, she's going to be a hero regardless, even though she is literally a puppet to Mephisto, because she's amazing, because she's diverse, she's a woman, like all these things, and it's just unbearable. Like, I hate this show, man. I really, really, really hate this show. And it's such a bad ending to a garbage show. Like, at least the other shows, they try to make them good. They don't do stupid stuff like sell their souls to Mephisto or any bad forces. Again, I've never seen a show like this before. It's just straight up evil. And people are going to paint it as a heroism. And she's a good character. And she goes through a good arc. But no, she's a terrible character. And she lost all future credibility by joining Mephisto. Ironheart is one of the worst, actually no, the worst Marvel project under Disney+. This show is so bad. I'm giving it the first 0 out of 10. It is that bad. Do not watch this show. Stay away from it. If people suggest watching Ironheart, just say, no thank you, or walk away. Don't watch it. If you're one of these people saying, oh, but she's a good person and she did the right thing, and joining Mephisto was totally justified, go read a Bible. If you're that person, go read a Bible. You clearly need it. But anyway, that's my opinion. What did you think of Ironheart? Tell me in the comments.